You're 2 hours into a complex coding sprint, chaining together perfectly crafted prompts, staying on schedule, and then, right at the height of your momentum, you are locked out. You've hit a hard usage cap. Anthropic offers 5 distinct ways to access Claude: free, pro, max, team, and enterprise. Selecting the right one depends on how your specific workflow handles these usage caps. You are choosing between 2 entirely different billing philosophies. On one side, you have a predictable, flat-rate plan with hard ceilings. On the other, you have infinitely scalable plans built on variable, consumption-based costs. When users get frustrated with their AI tools, it usually comes down to a mismatch here. They try to run an enterprise-scale data pipeline on a consumer flat-rate plan, or they pay massive premiums for enterprise flexibility when all they actually needed was a predictable monthly bill. Successfully upgrading requires matching the underlying billing mechanics to the specific operational limits of your team. This documentation details how the free tier operates. It relies on a dynamic, session-based limit resetting every 5 hours. But notice the catch: those limits constantly fluctuate. Depending on global server demand and prompt length, your capacity changes from session to session. The free tier is an excellent zero-cost testing ground, but if you rely on deep, multi-step professional work, that unpredictable friction makes it impossible to maintain a reliable workflow. This is where the Pro plan comes in as the baseline upgrade. For $20 a month, you unlock at least 5 times the usage capacity of the free tier. It is highly cost-effective, but you are still operating within strict boundaries. Your usage is still governed by that 5-hour reset clock, along with an overarching weekly limit. For power users, solo developers, and researchers, those limits can still bottleneck a heavy workday. That is exactly who the Max plan is built for. Looking at the pricing structure, Max comes in 2 tiers: 5x at $100 a month and 20x at $200. The primary benefit is workflow continuity, eliminating rate limit interruptions during aggressive coding or research sprints. But that workflow continuity comes with a massive jump in fixed monthly costs. As a solo user, you have to run a strict cost-benefit analysis. You must decide if avoiding a few occasional rate limits is actually worth a 500 to 1,000% increase in your monthly software spend. Once you move from solo work to group workflows, the math changes. The team plan requires a minimum commitment of 5 members. Organizations can assign dual seat types: standard seats offering 1.25 times pro usage, and premium seats giving power users 6.25 times pro usage. But here is the critical restriction. Usage is strictly metered on a per-member basis. In practice, this means your capacities are siloed. If your lead developer hits their cap for the day, they cannot borrow or absorb unused capacity from a lighter user in the marketing department. You do get the administrative tools that make managing a group possible, like centralized billing and single sign-on. The team plan is the definitive, cost-effective choice for small agencies. Just understand its limits. Because those per-seat caps are siloed, it cannot solve centralized, massive-scale data processing bottlenecks. The enterprise tier removes those constraints entirely, abandoning a flat-rate model to introduce a new concept: usage-based billing. Unlike Pro or Team, the enterprise seat fee covers platform access, not AI usage. There are 0 per-seat limits. Instead, you pay standard API rates based on team consumption. This dynamic billing enables massive million-token context windows in strict enterprise-grade security oversight. But there is an inherent risk here. Abandoning flat-rate predictability means your costs can spiral rapidly if that API consumption isn't closely monitored. To manage this, administrators have the ability to set strict, hard spend limits at both the organizational and individual user levels. Enterprise is a direct trade. You are giving up budget predictability in exchange for absolute, uncapped workflow scalability and total data control. Let's map this out directly. To find your plan, we split this into 2 distinct paths: solo users and organizations. If you are a solo user, ask yourself one question: are rate limit interruptions actively costing you money in lost productivity, or are they just a mild annoyance? For the vast majority of solo users, accepting the $20 Pro plan is the undisputed sweet spot for value. If you're outfitting a team, evaluate your constraints. Does your organization require an absolutely fixed monthly cost, Or do you need centralized, massive-scale data ingestion? Small businesses and agencies needing rigid budget predictability should strictly adopt the team plan. But if your organization constantly hits those siloed limits and needs massive token processing, you have outgrown flat-rate solutions. You must transition to enterprise. Finding the right plan is simply a direct reflection of your operational bottlenecks. Upgrading effectively means choosing whether to buy a higher ceiling, like the Max plan, or whether your project requires removing the roof entirely with enterprise. Never solve a massive variable scale problem with a consumer flat-rate plan, and never throttle a massive project